So, welcome everyone. Do we have people already? Yes, we do. First, a quick audio
Oh,
check because we're doing this for the first time. Can you hear us? And I need to check the Twitch chat because I didn't add the chat here, and I'm gonna move the little thing here to like this, and it'll be much nicer. Sorry for the. Yeah, I'll take that one out. Perfect. Perfect. That's good. Cool. Then, welcome everyone. This is the first time I'm doing something like this. I think maybe for Yaz as well. I don't know. BK, you've done something like this more often recently. Welcome everyone. We're doing a live stream here, having a conversation about fighting game topics. We're all Third Strike players here, but doesn't mean we're all limited to Third Strike. But we're all Third Strike players here. And my name is AQH. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm now based in Germany and been playing Third Strike for a while. And we have Yaz here, Third Strike player from France, winner of the recent TSB. And I would like you to introduce yourself, Yaz, quick shortly. If you're there, I think your image froze. So we're having some technical difficulties. So in the meantime, maybe BK, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So I'm BK, Billykane, whatever, many different names. And I've been playing Third Strike for a really long time, about 20 years, on and off. I think for about 10 years, I played really seriously, competed a lot. After I got a kid, it was a little more like a fun thing, but also still entering tournaments and trying to play as well as possible. But yeah, pretty much an OG in the scene and been playing for a really long time. I think Yaz is back, right?
Yes. Thank you.
and yeah, I am also a fighting game player. I've been playing for quite a while, less than Billykane actually. Third Strike. I had a previous life in KOF for some who know me from before, and I've kind of always been competing. Yeah, I don't think I've played, fighting.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, he's frozen.
He's having these issues for a while.
RTC disconnected. Okay.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah, probably. He'll be back in a few minutes, people. It's fine.
Yeah. There he is. There he is.
I'll try the Reddit thing, like try to restart my router
Yeah.
and be back. So yeah, hopefully Discord lets us yeah, in peace, leaves us in peace. Yeah, you guys can start. I'll just catch up with you guys.
Cool. We're just
Be
gonna.
right back.
All right. Good luck. So, right. So, the thing was that I was in TSB a couple of months ago, and then that's where I met Yas for the first time. Although we've been in touch for a while, and we were having all these conversation topics, about why are we even doing this, and because we're getting older, and life is kind of catching up with other things, and that's just perfectly normal. And then the question comes is why is it that we've traveled all the way here just to be here? So we were talking, and then we thought to ourselves, this would be a nice conversation maybe for other people because we were sharing some interesting thoughts. And then I thought maybe we should do this, and maybe we should have a guest. And the first thing that popped up was your name, and your name just popped immediately. We both agreed, let's add Billy Kane to thing. And then when I approached you, you said, "Oh, I'm doing this one already with MXP
yeah.
in a couple of days." And I'm like, "What are the odds?"
Yeah,
Um,
very low odds. But yeah, I just say that to be like completely transparent and honest with everyone that so that everyone knows.
sure.
But this is a different topic though, entirely different.
Yes, yes. What we're doing here is, and shout out to MXP by the way. It's an amazing podcast. I urge all the people to check it out. MutantXP. I'll copy and the URL into the chat as well, because I recommend everyone listening to that. It was an amazing conversation. It was really interesting to hear your the history and your thoughts about it, and kind of want to take it from there and continue with this. So one of the first questions that me and Yaz kind of came up with, and maybe we could just start out with that question, is what is it that motivated you to play at a competitive level? Because everyone starts playing a video game, right? You just play. But where was that click that you said, I want to be better at this?
The short answer is I don't know.
That's
It's
legit.
sort of turned into that, but in the beginning I was just looking for people to play with. It was before the internet, not before the internet, but before it was what it is now. So you couldn't play people online. There was no YouTube. There were just very basic forums, online boards, and it was hard to find people to play some of these games with. They were
Yeah.
not super popular. It was more of a niche thing. So the way to meet other players was either to go to arcades, and there were not that many in France even then, or to go to events, go to tournaments. If you didn't know anyone, you pretty much had to go. And I remember joining one of my first tournaments and meeting Mimosa there.
Yeah.
And we were both really bad, but it didn't matter because it was fun. And it was just exciting, to find other people who shared the same interests as you. Whereas I think now it's much easier to connect with people online. But back then, 20 years ago, it was not the case. And so I started attending the tournaments to meet other fellow Third Strike players. And then that turned into wanting to improve and get better because it's fun. It's something I really enjoy, learning new things.
Right.
And then somehow I started doing well, and it just keeps going. But it was never really a decision. There was no turning point where I felt like this is for real.
Right.
It just kind of happened.
Okay. Yaz is back, so hopefully Yaz works out. We just hear ourselves in your audio.
Oh, really?
That's the only thing. That's okay. So I think, Yaz, can you turn the audio a bit down, because we still hear ourselves a little bit. I wanted to ask you, because the thing is that when I started playing, I mean, I always played video games, right? We all played video games in our lives, but there was some point where I'm thinking, why am I playing this game, and why am I now all of a sudden on a train, visiting someone who I've never met, who I've never been to his house, and all of a sudden I'm sitting on a train going to play that video game, or sitting in the car driving to 100 kilometers. For us that was far. In Holland, it's a small country.
Oh yeah.
Driving all the way to Brussels and thinking, why the hell am I even doing this? Because I played Super Mario, we played all those games, on Nintendo. He never did that. Like, I could never answer that question at that time. I just did it because it was his urge, right, to somehow, and I would say is being recognized for something, even though it's not a noble thing. It's not a very noble thing that you think, okay, maybe that's why I'm playing, but maybe at that time that was kind of that thing. But I don't know if you had that feeling as well, because the problem, I'm thinking, if there wouldn't be no tournaments at all, nothing of that, and it would just be sometimes people at a house coming together, and that's it, 4 people, that's it, would you have continued playing?
So, if you're asking me, I think I would have. Maybe not as much. Maybe I wouldn't have been traveling to other countries, Japan. I mean, I probably wouldn't have been taking it seriously.
Yeah.
But I think I still would have played, because there are some games that, I'm not competing in, and I still play them because they're good or they're fun, or I get to share my experiences with other people. But I do agree there's something else to it. The recognition element is important.
Right.
It's interesting. Also, I think you'll get different answers from different people about what motivates them.
What was it for you, Yas?
First, to be honest, it was kind of, this is how it is.
Like there's no other way, right? Just for the short story, I don't even know if I told you that, but I had stopped actually playing video fighting games. So I always played fighting games when I was a kid and shooters like FPS, first person shooters, and I was pretty good at Counter Strike actually. So I grew up in the West Indies in Martinique, where we have it's kind of famous. Like we have lots of very good players from the West Indies, and right now, since even Street Fighter 4, you have some great players coming out of the West Indies, whether it's Dominican Republic or Guadeloupe with Fox, for instance, great KOF and Street Fighter player. So we've had this scene, and we had lots of cabs here and there. So this is how I started playing fighting games. But around, and this is why I was playing KOF as well, because that's pretty much all we had. We had Last Blade maybe a year and back to KOF. So I was playing KOF, and around 2002, people stopped playing. So I didn't have anyone to play with anymore,
Right.
and so I just went back to playing Counter Strike. I was already playing, by the way.
But yeah, but then you basically you play what is available as well, right?
It as well.
but for me, I'm always thinking, if I look at my immediate environment, like people in my neighborhood, in my family, in my friends, and all this stuff, none of them were doing what I was doing. None of them were traveling for something that is seen from the outside as just, a hobby or something that's just to kill your time with. And all of a sudden, I found myself doing things for this game that which I thought, why it's like a job almost. It's like a career thing, right? But it was, I was enjoying it. It wasn't like, I wasn't even being paid for it. That's the thing. You're not. This is not something, we never chose Third Strike for the money. I mean,
Oh no. I have a question for you though. It did make you happy. And I think that's key. Why does it make us happy? And when does it make us happy? Like, is it about winning the tournament? Is it about something else?
that's a good question. I think why either you need a happy spot, but I remember you saying that in the podcast again with MXP. You said sometimes I needed to play just to find my happy spot again. Like this is my little space now, right? I need this
Yeah.
right now. Like life is not great at the moment. Some shit is going on. I need to just play a little bit. But I think what made me happy about it was, and I remember the first time I went to an event, like a meeting of friends, and it was RRV. He's a Dutch Third Strike player.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
remember
you
him.
know him, and he had a little room set up, and he had like 20 or 15 people coming over. It was like his direct contact, and people. It was just growing. And I remember going there, and I'm being sitting there, and all these people had the exact same game, like the love for it, and also other interests, and they were also kind of like-minded, and all of a sudden they like the same movies, and they like the same things, and they like the and everything was just clicking. And I thought to myself, where have you guys been for the last years? Because all of a sudden I found this. So it wasn't just the game, it was also a subculture, a culture basically, that I could click with, that I could feel at home with, in a sense. Because if I would
You
be at,
belong.
yeah, you had a sense of belonging, and because you had that sense of belonging, it wasn't just about the games anymore. Because I remember if I would go to someone's place and we would just play the game and there was no communication, no talking, no nothing, I would be, you know,
Yeah.
fun. It was fun, but and then I went back to a place where 15 of us were cramped up in a room with three setups, three PlayStation setup, three TVs, shouting, you know, first of fives, trash talking and all that. And then I felt at home. I was like, this is me in a sense. And I think that's then you go to your happy place. You just travel to go to your happy place. So that was part of it. But then I come back to that recognition part again, because I think that recognition was that all of a sudden, because you had a certain level of, I mean, you could call it respect, but you could call it like, this is the the group I belong. you wanted to earn that recognition of being able to play at a certain level or being able to compete. Because I remember when I came the first time, I got beat up. I went back home, and then the only thing I practiced, because the Daigo thing was, I practiced to do the parries and everything. And I remember when I come back and I did all the parries, and they were like, "Wow, you're legit," and that was, the boost was crazy. So I think for me it was the culture that kept me going, and I think that's also the reason why I kind of stopped, because the culture at that time was gone for me. I don't know how it was for you guys, but that was for me kind of the thing where I realized it's not just the game, it's the people behind the game. And when I went to TSB the other day, or in November, it was kind of like a happy place again. I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is
I
exact
feel
same
the
people,
same.
exact same
I
people that I fell in love with.
And then there's a sense of nostalgia as well. Like
Oh, definitely.
like you get back to your happy place, like you're saying. It's yeah, it's something about offline events. The people mm, make it different. So I've tried playing other games, as you know. I play a
Right.
bit of Street Fighter 6,
Yep.
played a bit of Tekken 7. I'm okay. I'm not great, but I've played in a few tournaments, and it's not the same. I do love learning the games, and I'm having fun, and I meet new people, but it's not the same as going to a third strike tournament where people have known for 20, 15 years are there, and it's like meeting family at this point. It's
Yeah.
so there's a different vibe for sure. How do you feel about it? Yes.
It's um, it's pretty similar to what AQH was saying. Like, just to finish the story, because it's really connected to what you were saying. I had stopped, and when I came to France, so from my tiny island, I met these two guys in my university, and we weren't even talking together at that time. I remember it very vividly. We were having lunch, and they were talking between themselves, and they were talking about KOF.
Right.
And I was like, hmm? You're talking about KOF? I didn't say anything. I just listened. And I haven't changed. I literally said, I'll beat your asses at any KOF. Just take me where you're talking about,
Yeah.
beat your asses. I didn't even know. They were talking about the latest KOF, which was the 11.
Right.
And I had never played the game, but I was so cocky and so confident that I could pull that off that I just said that. And this is how I discovered Châtelet, which is one of the big places back in the days where you would play in Paris fighting games. And this is how, because of these two schmucks, that I started playing fighting games again. Because I went there, I discovered KOF 11, all these new characters and that. And so, coming back to the story of fighting games, we bonded so much because of these stupid games. We had this family going on, and these two guys are still one of my two closest friends up until this day.
Yeah.
And they definitely didn't push it as far as I did. So they were medium level players. They played lots of fighting games, but they never pushed it. They entered tournaments, etc. But at some point, there was a breaking point where I was way too committed, and they couldn't follow me anymore. So we would play together during those sessions, but there was a big gap in terms of level. However, I connect with what you said about the family part, because it's true that we ended up with a big family. We had this very close group of friends, and we're still friends up until today. We shared a lot. We traveled together a lot to Japan together. It's crazy to imagine that you have such a close friend that you can travel with other side of the world and play and have share lots of memories. So I feel blessed to have known that, and it's definitely a part of it. However, however, this I feel is like how you step inside this world,
Yeah.
but I think it's maybe, at least for me, is disconnected from the competition part.
What is
because
disconnected from the competition part?
my friends are my friends, right?
Right.
But the happiness part, you know what? It's when I would go to a tournament, or even today, still, if I go to a tournament, there's a part of me that is definitely connected to what you said. I'm happy because I know I'll see people, and I often go alone, because I live far, and I'll often go alone. But I know that I'll be reconnected
Right.
with my friends, the game. So this is cool. But there's still the competition going on, right?
Yeah.
You're going there. I mean, at least for people competing or who are going with this goal of competing,
Right.
it's not only it's not only the people. So there's people and there's also competition at the same time. And I find myself, at least for me, um, not always enjoying what's happening because I'm focused on the competition part. You know, I can't I can't be all I can't take the time, for instance, to talk with people as much as I would like.
Right.
You know,
About the
I'm
game or
thinking,
something.
yeah. My brain is processing and computing in the background.
Right.
Like, okay, I have to focus on this match. I have this guy that I'm gonna meet afterwards. After 2 games, I'm gonna have this
Right.
opponent. I have to focus. I have to, check my notes or check games. Etc. Etc. So this is running in the background, and I'm, you know me. I'm very present focused. If we're talking right now, I'm with you 100. I'm not checking my phone. I'm
Right.
not, I don't like that. I want to give you all my attention and my focus. So this is why I find myself very embarrassed sometimes because I can't give you my full attention. If we're gonna have, if I want to talk to you, I want to know what you've been up to, how you feel, etc., etc. Really connect. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I can't because there's this competition going on, and I have to be 100% and
BK,
and this is how.
I because we had that, Jazz. We had our deep conversations at the apartment. We didn't have
Yeah.
any deep conversations when we were at TSP. When we were at the venue, I noticed you were just, you're either the casuals playing or playing, and I had a different mindset. I would say I was kind of walking around and then taking it all in, kind of, with nostalgia. What BK said, um, but you're very much driven in that sense. But BK, did you also have that then? Like when you went to events, or imagine if you traveled all the way to Japan, right? You qualified for the SBO, you're the one repping, and then you come there, and then you think, I'm just gonna enjoy this moment, or do you think I'm here to win? Even though, maybe the level wasn't there, that you knew that it wasn't there, but still.
Yeah, a bit of both. I'd say I understand what Yaz is saying. I think he's probably a more competitive person overall as well. For me,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a competitive person. I got into this somehow, and I like it. No, but it's interesting. But
that is interesting for me when you just said that.
Interesting, right? Yeah.
but it's true. If you ask other people, I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll say the same thing. Like, when I lose to people, no hard feelings. I shake their hands. I smile. I just say good game. Like, I don't have that fire in me. It doesn't mean I don't try my best, but
Right.
it's just who I am. Like, I can be happy when other people win. I don't have that. I think for some people, maybe not. Yes, I don't know, but I know some people are more like, it's, if you're there with a goal,
Yeah.
and you're more driven. I'd say I'm not. My determination, even in those tournaments, has always been to, you know, try and improve, pretty much, like try and be better than I was the day before. That was the thing when I was trying hard.
Right.
It was more about competing with myself. I think part of that was also that, at some point with Mimosa, we were a bit uncontested for a few years, I'd say. There was a bit of a gap with the other players. There were good players, but it's not like today. I think today is more competitive than it was back in the day. So, if we wanted to improve, then we had to find ways to improve. So he's sort of a rival to me. I'd say that's a bit of an exception, maybe.
Yeah.
But aside from him, it was mainly about me. Like, how can I get better? How can I find new things? And So it's a bit of a different outlook in that when I'm at events, I'm probably not as focused. That might be a mistake in competitive terms. It's probably a mistake, but I think I'm not as focused on the tournaments themselves.
I find it, yeah, because I find it funny because I remember, Yaz, when you I didn't know you back then, so this was a year ago in HSF, and I was watching. You had the final against Hayao, right? And then you lost. Yeah, it's painful. I know, and that's funny that it is painful for you. But it is. I can understand it. But when you lost, usually what happens is people, the moment you lose, you go like and then you walk up to the guy, and you give the hand. You had to step back. You went left. Even Hayao got up, and you were like, no, I need a moment. And then you walk to him, and then you congratulate and everything, right? But I could tell, like, and I was like, this guy is driven. This guy does not like. I just from your reaction, I knew that you did not like that, because you were so close, right? But even with BK, I remember you. I think you lost the final some event where I was, and you were kind of like,
Yeah.
It was fun. Too bad. I remember it was in Birmingham. I think it was at the qualifiers.
Momochi.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Momochi came.
Yeah. I was smiling, man, because I remember that one. I lost pretty bad. It was like 3-0, and it wasn't close.
Right.
And I was like, good game, man. You got me.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't get too salty about games. A little, sometimes it happens to everyone, and sometimes. But the way I see it is like, this is a lesson. You gave me something to work on, right. So I have a lot of respect for that as well. I did, though, so I did beat him at Stunfest a couple of years later, a few times, though. So I have to be honest as well that there is some competitiveness to it as well, and it felt good to beat him. But in the moment, I don't get upset. Like, it's just a game, and I've lost so many times. Yeah, it's. I think it's also that, to me, so I'm not as driven, I think, but also it's like the minute the game is over, it's real life coming back again. Like, it's just a regular guy, and I don't really. I think there's a big disconnect between what I feel in the game and what I feel outside of the game. Like, you can beat me 10-0.
Yeah. And
to me, that has zero impact on how I view you as a person. How do I respect you or not? Right. It's like two completely different things to me somehow.
I have problems with that. I think I'll be admitting it. Like, for me, I'll be happy to play, and I'll be happy that But even, for example, if I lose. I mean, I don't think being salty about it is a bad trait. It's just a trait, right? I mean, some people can, I would say, hide it or basically suppress it because the other emotions are simply just strong at that moment. But yes, was I right, yes, about what I saw on that stream? Like, did you feel...
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was crushed. Like, it was soul crushing, literally.
Yeah,
because,
I
had...
Yeah.
I did it once.
Right.
Like, if you do it once, why can't you do it twice?
Yeah.
First, and I was confident. I was confident I could do it.
Right.
I was confident I could do it. And there was, there was two major. I mean, not major, but the super that he parried, and then the EX spinning bird that didn't come out. These kind of were still in my head, and I was like, especially the super, because I was so sure that I was right to do it at that time, because people don't know what happened,
right?
And we talked about it, but he pulled something out of nowhere, and even the top Japanese that know the game frame by frame, like Crystal Cube and other people, sent him a message afterward telling him, how did you do it, because technically it's impossible. And he basically did his adjust frame. It's a one frame that, so he was better to
come back, and he had chance with him, even that. So, but I couldn't process it back
No,
at
of
the
course
time.
not.
I
I
was
mean, if it happens, if if something like that
up to
happens to
this
me,
time. I was like, how did that happen? How did that happen? And yeah. But like Billykane was saying, I love Hayao. He's a really nice person. He's a great
yeah,
person.
yeah,
We have lots in common, like dance and stuff like that. So I was not salty. I was just, crushed because it was a dream and I was
of
this
course,
close to making it finally, and it just slipped away. It wasn't salty. I get salty. And I wanna talk about this because it's one of the reasons why we
yeah,
that's right. Because it's also to help people understand emotions and how to deal with them.
yeah,
And I think this is something that's very important for me because I've had very rough times throughout the years dealing with those emotions. Because when you compete and when you're driven, as we say, you want to win. It's a very unfortunate game we play because there's only one winner.
right,
Except if you're able to enjoy not being first, there's only one winner. There's only one place at the top. And you can't always win, or if you're very, very good, you win all the time. But it's not my case. And it wasn't the case for many years before getting to that place. And so I would get salty. I would get angry.
right,
I would get frustrated. I would get mad. All these emotions, rushing in. Like, why can't I win? And and so back in the days, I was younger, and so I would act feelings. So I would get physically angry. I would smash my steak. I would smash the cab. I remember it was probably the first time I went to Japan. There was, yeah, once or twice a cab that might have been hurt, and it's very funny. Don't try that because you're foreigners in their countries. However, I can tell you something that when you hit a cab in Japan, the level of your opponent will decrease.
yeah.
It
Your
happened.
level of your what?
Your
Opponent.
opponent.
Open.
They
Okay.
get
First,
intimidated. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
like, oh wait, this guy is scary. He might
Yeah.
really harm me. I'm gonna start playing a bit. So now I joke about it, but yeah, um, it's how you act on these feelings. If you're feeling all these like anger, salt, um, what I want to tell you is take a deep breath, like I did after I lost
Right.
at HF.
Yeah.
But I needed that those 5 minutes of okay, I need to breathe. I need
Just to
to
lower the.
you need to recognize these emotions because we're only humans. It's normal to feel angry, to feel bitter, to feel sad. Even all these emotions, they make us what we are. It's human, so it's only normal that we feel them. It's not acting on them. So take the time, breathe. If you need an hour, if you need 10 days, if you
Yeah.
need a year, even take it. Breathe, recognize those emotions, but don't act on them. Don't smash that stick because it's what you used to play, so it's too bad. You're gonna have to pay another one.
Right.
It's not gonna do anything. Of course, not the Cavs. Of course, not the opponent. He has nothing to do with that. Some people get physical, and that's I, I've never went that far. Thank God. I always blame myself, and I think
You
back
made
to that.
a you made an interesting tweet a couple of weeks ago um, about when that it was during a Street Fighter Six something, and if people would rage quit in the middle of a match, and you said something about because the comments saying I remember on my I think I was streaming a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and then someone just rage quit, and my instant reaction was you such a loser, you just rage quit it right in the middle of a combo. You didn't even, you know, because this is the thinking that this is I've had this, and then I think you mentioned something like because but actually what is happening for the other person is he's being bullied, right?
Really.
So he's being bullied at that moment because you're bullying him, not realizing you started off as even competitors, and then all of a sudden that person doesn't know that you're so good at it. You're basically just playing with him, right? Because Third Strike lets you do that. Third Strike is a game that lets you get into someone's psyche, and I know exactly which button you're gonna press, and this game will enable me to just expose you completely. And BK, I wanted to ask you as well. I mean, do you see that as bullying? I'll say what I think about that, but I want to hear something from you as well. Do you agree that that's a form of bullying?
I understand what Yasmin's diet. I don't obviously with my mindset in the game. I don't see this as bullying at all. Because there's no intent to make a person feel bad. So I've had the same experience as you in that sometimes I play people. It happens a lot actually on Fightcade or Street Fighter 6 not as much, but on Fightcade it happens a lot. I'll play someone and so it's kind of the same. I'll play someone and having what we think is a good set. Like I'm having fun, it's good back and forth, and I lose some, I win some, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then somehow the person sends a message or just rage quits, and I realize like they are actually not enjoying this. But exactly. I thought they were like, it's like a misunderstanding. Like I'm like, yeah, we're having fun, man. And the guy like sends like, everything. But even good players, right? It can be like a really close set, and they get really frustrated somehow by something.
Right.
So to me, the problem with calling it bullying is that it's on the person doing the bullying, which I think is not what's meant to happen. It's more that the other person cannot manage the situation. Like they take it personally. It hurts them somehow, and everyone's different. So I get it, but it's I think it's more about the other person than it is about the person doing the winning or the bullying somehow.
There are two sides of this. I agree with you on the fact that if you don't have the intent, you're not doing it right. I'm mostly talking about the people who will complain, very vocally about, oh, you rage quitter, you loser, and they'll put it in the fight chat and shame that person even more because why didn't you say I was just beating your ass, etc. Like that is bullying. You complaining about someone who's weaker than you and deciding to leave.
No,
that's
I think
bullying.
I think
would you
no,
to say?
That's true. I mean that definitely is true. I think there's the point where you're just playing a game, and then what happens afterwards, right? How do you react? I had a player. I was playing him, and actually maybe I did bully because what happened was, I was playing him, and then he was complaining about. Because I played Necro, and Necro is not a common character, so you don't know what to do with it, and he was getting frustrated. And then all of a sudden goes like, oh, this is just a BS character. And then that triggered me. I'll admit it. I lost it. I was like, you have no idea how much skill it takes to get to a certain point with this character. It's not easy. So then I thought, oh, I can change characters if you want to. So then I just picked Jan, and that was my old character. Oh, then he goes, oh, but that's completely cheap. I said, who do you want me to play? I just play. But then I was bullying him. I didn't realize at that point, right? I was kind of like, who do you want me to play? Do you want me to play? Because I'll show you that I'm better with you. Because somehow he triggered me, and I only noticed it afterwards. And then I was thinking, why am I this way? And yes, you and me were talking about this. And I also thought about it, why this is very prevalent in fighting games. I think there is a certain culture element to this, and I'm not talking about the culture, the fighting game culture, kind of, but where we come from. I think I have an ethnic background, right? I'm Pakistani origin. Yes, you have Arabs, and there's more, I think. And BK, I think, I'm sure you can say if you don't want to, it's up to you. But I noticed with a lot of players in the fighting game community, actually almost every player in every European country it was never always the majority the native. Everyone had a mixed heritage or an ethnic background, and I noticed that that kind of had an effect. It was this macho culture of who's the strongest, because we would trash talk during these events, and and I'm thinking that's why I felt at home. I grew up in this culture. I grew up with cousins, family, people who basically said either you win or you're just losing, and you need to
Cheers
push
the
each
same
other.
over.
You need to push each other on. You know, be a winner. You know, don't sulk and just dust yourself out and continue, kind of thing. And if someone's shouting at you, um, take it like a man, be a man. And I remember you talking about MXP. You were saying on this podcast, like I remember you were being booed on in one of your first events, and someone said, "Get him off the stage or get him off the stream." That happened to you as well. But how did you deal with this in a thing? But do you think that's kind of it? I mean, that's my theory. I'm not some kind of psychologist. It's just.
Mm, it's interesting what you're saying. I think there's a lot of truth to it. Well, I did think in my case, yeah, without getting into the details, I was playing casuals and I was really bad. And then someone said, a top player actually, like a really good player.
Is he still active?
No, not really. But he apologized eventually, you know, a few years later.
Yeah.
And he said, like, take him off the station or something. I think in that case, it was actual bullying, pretty much.
Right.
But it was very common. That was,
Right.
I think 20 years ago, the scene was a lot more toxic than it is now. And it is still toxic, but it was crazy. And I don't want to go on a tangent about that, but it did fuel something. If that was what you were asking, I think it did fuel something. And I think also the first tournaments I played, I did really bad. Like most people, you know, when you start this, you're bad. And losing at the beginning, it starts a process. Like if you feel like if you want to be good at this, then you commit to it, and you know, and you remember. Even years after, like 20 years after, I still remember that the person shouting something.
Yeah.
It was just 1 second, but I still remember that. So, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I do think there is some sort of aspect where, like, proving people wrong, proving that you belong. It is there, and it is important.
Is it the only way?
No, yeah. So I don't think it's a good thing, and I think we should be more welcoming. And I try my best to be welcoming with new players and so on. I don't think I've ever bullied anyone. The stuff Yaz was saying, you know, like going on chat and whatever. I never use the chat because it's garbage to me. The people are crazy toxic, and if they want to leave, they can leave. It just makes me feel sad that I just had a game with someone and the other person is not enjoying it. And then I feel like, oh, so maybe my happy place is not a happy place. Or maybe for the other person it isn't, which is interesting. And it sort of takes me out of it. And I was saying I don't get salty or frustrated. That does frustrate me a bit. Because we're playing and I feel like, you know, we're having a good time. At least I'm having a good time. The other person looks like they're having a good time, they're saying. And then I found out that no, they're not. Like, I'm ruining their weekend and they're not happy and they're getting angry. And so that does get me confused. Like, I have to take a step back and realize, like, why am I doing this? I've had to ask myself that questions a bunch of times. When people get frustrated, I wonder why I play them. But I don't really get frustrated myself. So it's interesting. The dynamic of it is.
Yeah, I mean that's what I want to say. I mean, I felt bad about what I did or what I said, even though it was a little brief moment, and even though he was, because at some point you get tired of people complaining, and I learned to shut it out. If someone's just typing, I did super there, and I'm thinking of, no, you didn't, because you didn't, you missed. But then I try not to go into a conversation, because then you get sucked into that same energy, and you're just continuing, and then they'll notice that you're not even listening to whatever they're saying. I think that was just a moment I want to highlight because I was surprised that it would happen to me, because I always thought that I kind
Yeah.
of became the calm
It's
person.
not. Yeah, you're not like that.
I don't want to be that way. But yes, do you think? Because we talked about that during DSB, because of this culture, would you have still be the same competitive type of person that you just talked about? That person that is completely focused during those things?
Thing, right? This culture, this whole culture that we grew up in is definitely what made me such a competitor for all these years, but I didn't realize it at the time, right?
Right.
It was just the culture. It was survival of the fittest. You had
Yes.
to be the best because when you went to Châtelet, it was a jungle. You couldn't,
Yeah.
like, these people would, you could get
You
stabbed
can get
there.
stabbed. Same thing in Holland
I'm
as
not
well.
even joking.
Yep.
For the people who are watching or listening afterwards, I'm not joking. This is a shady place back in the days. So you had to be tough, and these people were not joking. They were playing for years. They were very good players, and like Billykane said, we were trash. We were just beating our friends, and we thought that, ooh, we were some hot shit, but we were trash.
Yeah.
So of course you went to your first tournament and you got washed, and this is gonna happen to you. But don't feel bad. You're always gonna be. I mean, maybe not today because we have online. Back in the days, we didn't have all these, opportunities to weigh ourselves against so many players, different players. So we didn't really know that we were trash, and we discovered, right in the middle of the competition. Oh shit, I'm that bad. Um, so yeah, this culture, it drove me at some point, but it also, and I'm gonna say it, it destroyed me. It destroyed a part of me.
Right.
We're here, and I want to be as open about this as possible because this is really my fight right now. I don't want people to live what I live. Um, I competed, I competed for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
Let's be clear. I competed for the wrong reasons. It took me, I don't know, 15 years to realize that. I've been competing for a while, but it took me that much time to realize that I was doing it because we talked about belonging, right?
Right.
I wanted to belong,
Yeah.
but I wanted to belong in a sense that I wanted to be recognized. Why? Because of my culture, because of my background, as Arabs and as many other people, my black friends, my African sub-Saharan friends is the same. Our parents, they never showed us love. They never told us that they were proud of what we did. Even though we did great at school, we were good, or
Right.
maybe but it was okay. At sports, we were good. They never told us, etc., etc. So always our kids inside, and I'm just talking about all these years of therapy that I've done. So thanks therapy for making me realize that actually I was trying to soothe my inner child.
Right.
We always talk about, or you might have heard about, inner child. It's this young person that you were back in the days and that missed so much. And I was chasing that. I was chasing the love that I didn't receive from my parents,
Right.
and I wanted that love from all the people around me in that scene, and even my friends. I want to be recognized. I want
You want to be
people to
recognized, but that's exactly that comes to that
best.
point, right? You want to be the best. You want them to
Yeah,
say that you are.
but it wasn't the right reasons. This is not why you should be competing.
I don't want
And
to go off tangent, but I just recently read Thierry Henry, the French football player. He was talking about the same thing, right? I don't know if you guys saw it in the media. He said during the lockdown, he realized that when he grew up as a professional football player, as a competitive one, not once told his father told him that he did well. Every time he did wrong, or even if he did well, like you still missed a pass, you still didn't score enough, you still didn't do, and apparently he broke down crying for the whole Corona time, right? So he basically was saying from where he comes from in that culture, um, that because you don't get that recognition in your direct environment, you go out and seek that recognition. You go out, but you still want to be feel at home. So there are elements of that culture where I say, yeah, this is what it's like at home, but now I want their recognition, right? Because there is a platform made for it. That's why I'm thinking that's what started it for me as well. I guess it was partly love because it was the games, there was the culture, the media, whatever, the thing that binds you, and it was friends. But there was also a thing like I need to be recognized in that sense by these people because that's how I've been brought up. Wherever you do, make sure you're the best. I mean, even if I play a board game the other day, I was playing, with my wife and their friends, we were playing a board game, right? A simple board game with questions. I got so competitive. I had to win, and this other guy was also competing, and I immediately thought, okay, now we're on, right? Do you still have that, BK? Do you still have that urge to? Maybe you don't. You might not have the same kind of. I mean, I think me and Yas connected in a way that we came from the same type of kind of like a background in the thing, or motivational wise. Did you have that same thing?
So I can share a bit more. In my case, I don't think it's so much the culture. Well, I do have an Arabic father, so maybe there's a bit of it. But it's more like I have my parents divorced when I was pretty young, and I think they were busy with life and didn't maybe give me attention at some points, and so I think I did seek a bit of that in games. Like wanted to be recognized by people. I think you're nailing it with this, that most people in the competitive scene are sort of trying to feed their ego, not in a bad way necessarily, but it is ego.
It is.
And I think for most people that's what it is. In my case, it was not as pronounced. I think this is why I'm saying I'm not super competitive. I think I learned to become more competitive by playing the games, by interacting with other people, playing against people who were super into it. Then I got into it, but initially I was not. And these days I'll play a board game with my kids, and I do get the urge to not let them win, but eventually I realize what I'm doing, and I'm just like, no, but this is
why am I even
like 5, right?
Those kids.
You're gonna learn. But didn't Justin Wong had that moment? I remember.
You're gonna learn today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said, and that's why I built up this theory because I remember telling someone like wherever country we went to, like either we went to France, we went to Belgium, we went to England, we went to Germany, and it was always the foreign kids that were part of that. And I thought that's such a strange thing. Why is that? Why is it that all of a sudden all of us are somehow connected or playing this type of game? Because all my peers at the time, I had Dutch friends, like Dutch friends, and what they would do is their focus would be is they would play shooters, they would play Quake, they would play whatever game at that time was, strategy games and things like that. I had a modern PC built up. And I also think that because of the arcade culture wasn't culture that it is now, or the way the culture maybe now it's in Japan. I mean, in my time and in our time, the arcade culture, like you said, Yaz, you could get stabbed there. And that's the same thing in Amsterdam and The Hague as well, where I'm from. A friend of mine, he grew up in Amsterdam in the arcades, and he grew up in when Super Table came out, and then hyper fighting, and they would be beatings, or you would purposefully lose, or if your coin was there and one guy just moved your coin backwards, like, no, I'm next and you're not.
They would take your coin.
and you would take your coin.
Me, I'm a kid.
And I was thinking, why is it that this is attracting? Why is it that we're seeking out this kind of way of killing our time, right? And so this is why I came to this thinking, and wherever I go or whatever I look at, it's the same kind of thing. I would say I mean, of course, it's not a black and white situation, but for the majority, it always, stands true in that sense. What I don't find interesting, though, is in the last years, it kind of changed, at least for me. 'Cause, you grow old, you mature, you like you said, yes, you had to go into therapy, or you took time to think about yourself. And I also had that. And I remember at TSB, though, even though maybe you would have been very much focused, the majority, everyone whenever the game was over, there was just this. I just felt only positivity. There was not a percentage of some kind of animosity, and there were 100 people. It wasn't like 20 people getting together. It was 100 people from different countries, and it was just pure, pure love, pure brotherhood, or whatever you may call it. And because most of them are men, there's like an old game. Um, and I found that, and I'm thinking, well, it's also possible in this way. You know?
It's changed. It's changed a lot. I because I've been on this in the third strike scene for a really long time. I can tell you that even when you guys were coming, the Dutch guys were coming to Paris and so on, those tournaments, they were good, but there was a lot of toxicity and competitiveness and jealousy and whatever. I have a lot of stories about that. I think today people are more happy to have a place to gather, and
Yeah.
the sense of belonging is taking over, and they're just happy to be there. Also, you have to admit the events are really good. Like,
Yeah.
having the cabs and everything, it's like a dream come true. So I think that sort of shifted the scene a bit. Also, I think people are more accepting that they may not be the best or be
Right.
among the best. We talked about competing in those tournaments. If you get 64 people to join, which is nice, it's a good tournament, but how many are actually competing? Like, entering a tournament and competing is not the same thing. I feel like most of the people entering, they know they have no shot, but they still enter to be part of something. And I'm like, today I am more on that side than on the competitive side, which is kind of weird because I do okay. Like, I'll get top 8 at HFS. I'm still okay, not among the best, but I'm okay. But it's like when I get to those stages, I feel like, well, I'm not where I belong because I play those guys who are still really focused and training and better than me. So it's again, it's a bit strange for me in my situation, but this is probably why I can feel a bit more relaxed and talk to people and so on, because the expectations are different for someone like me. I feel like this is, yeah, I'm going there to meet everyone else, and so for those tournaments, I would say only a small percentage of people are actually competing.
But when I watch these Japanese videos, and yes, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I watch these Japanese videos like Corporation Cup, this is supposed to, it is a celebration, right?
Yeah.
And I've been watching a lot lately, and it's like a 5-on-5. But when either team wins or loses, they don't go to each other and shake hands. At least I don't see that on video.
No,
I
no,
see
but
them
it's a
simply.
cultural.
I see them, okay, because that might be a different cultural thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I see them just part away. They don't cut, because if you look at TSP, people are just giving each other hugs as if they haven't seen their family in years, right? And then if I look at the Japanese, and I was thinking, is that the same thing or not? Because I've only been there once, and language, and yes, you understand the language, you speak it a bit, so maybe, but I don't think. I think Japanese culture is different than whatever I've thinking the way the Europeans are, or maybe even Americans are.
It is definitely like you won't see them except between them inside the same team. But of course, yeah, I don't think I've seen like people hugging the other team. It's very that won't happen.
No, but let's just say they don't hug because of the culture, right? People don't physically touch each other a lot. I mean, that's just the way the culture is. Some cultures don't have that. That's Japanese culture is part of that. But there is this, when Kuni and Taihei and Yamoda came, we would hug them or we would give them a hand, and they would be happy. You could feel like they were happy, we were happy, even if you just lost. I remember I lost to Taihei, and I just went to him. I was like, I don't care. Normally people would bow or whatever. I was like, I'm just giving you a hand, bro, because you're a third strike, bro, and I don't care if I lost. It was fun.
Yeah, that there is the pressure of society, right? So because it's like that in your society, you won't probably indulge in something like that. However, when you go outside, it's the barriers are off, and then you can probably enjoy because it's human. We need that comfort. We need to be touched. We need etc. So having someone coming and hugging you and telling you, "Oh, you did great," etc. It's heartwarming. You need that. So I can't, except if you're a sociopath. Sorry, but You
That's
won't like
bullying.
it. I'm joking. I mean, you can not like people touching you, and that's very fine. But they showed it.
Yeah.
They were really happy to be there, etc. But let me just go back,
Sure.
rewind just a second, talk about the reasons and how can you said it changed, and it definitely did. Look at Street Fighter Five and now Six, with what's his name, the kid, the Swedish kid, Finnish, um, name, the one who won.
The
Which
Okay,
hold
event?
up.
Which
In
sorry.
which event? Oh,
Hear that.
which event are you referring to, Yas?
Oh, the final Street Fighter Five event. There's this little kid out of nowhere,
Ending Walker. He's English.
Walker,
Yeah, yeah,
Ending Walker. You look at him. His parents are sitting at home watching Capcom Cup, supporting him.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's new to
holy
me.
shit. This is my whole childhood dream, right?
Right.
Having my parents at home, etc. Interested in what I'm doing. He's just a kid. He was 16. I don't know, 15, 16 at the time,
Yeah.
and his parents were so supportive of him, pushing him, go and do what you want to do, and he ended up winning. And I'm sure that if he didn't win, and actually in Street Fighter 6 is not as strong, he's still. I mean, I don't know him personally, so I don't know how he feeling inside, and I hope he's feeling okay and good. That he can't replicate what he did in Street Fighter 5 yet. But still, if I had to judge from the outside, I would say he's happy because his
Good
parents,
place.
are there for him, supporting him. So there are other ways.
Yeah, that's proof
to
of
be
it.
competing.
That's proof of it that it can be
There's
done.
right now, and you can be competing for the right reasons because you like it, because you actually enjoy the, I don't know, the emotions or the energy, the environment, the simple fact of competing, being, head to head against someone else, and that's what's driving you. And it's not, you know something behind, and that will make you angry at the end because you didn't win, and very salty and bitter, and all these dark emotions. But on the other side, on the opposite, because you were joining with the right mindset, you'll be, but it's still okay. I did good, or I didn't do good, but I'll improve, and I'll come back stronger,
Right.
and next time maybe I'll do it. That's the right mindset. That's right. That's maybe how you should
It's, in-
approach competing,
it's
so you
interesting
don't
you
fall
said that
into that.
because when you mentioned that his parents were sitting at home watching the Twitch stream or whatever, and I just pictured it, and then all of a sudden I pictured my parents sitting there. I was just start laughing because it's just an absurd image for me to have. It's sad,
And for
right?
me,
But no, but it's not in that sense that they didn't care. It's also because I didn't let them know. I never let them know what I was doing. Right? It's the same thing. It's
vicious circle.
it's a
It's a
circle,
vicious circle.
right? Because they never cared, they never asked, you don't say, right? I remember my father one time coming in. I was playing, and he went, and there's this meme, right? There's meme where are you winning, son,
Yeah.
meme, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I love this meme because it happened to me, but my meme goes different. In my situation, it went like, "Are you winning?" And I went, and I think I was playing some top guy, whoever it was, right? And I go, no, this guy, he's really good. He's one of the top European players. He goes, "You've been playing this game for I don't know how long, and you're still not winning." I mean, it's
That's soul crushing.
but it was, and then
For real.
but then it was like shit, and I was thinking about, why am I not winning? That was my reaction. Why am I not winning? You know what? I'm gonna get better, but it's not the right way, right? Because from their perspective, I would say in defense of my father, my parents, they come from a different background, and all they knew was work, 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 and if you just put enough work, you get it. And so he's basically see me having fun and not kind of like working, but kind of like you're just having fun all this time and you're doing this one same thing all this time and you're still not getting the better of the other person on the other side. That's for them hard to process in a sense, right? Um, but then funny thing is at TSB, before I went to TSB, I told my wife, I said, this is the Twitch thing, so I'll text you when I'll be on stream. If I'm gonna be on stream, I'll just text you. And after that I came back, I went like, did you see it? Did you watch me play? You know, even though I lost, I didn't care. Did you watch me? Yes, yeah, I watched. And that kind of, you know, was a positive thing, you know. And but I would never tell my parents. I remember I won some national tournament, and I won actually some money from it. And they said, I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna go to Japan. Like, with what money are you gonna go to Japan? I said I won this event and I got the money now to go. And they like, what money did you win? All of a sudden the interest popped up because you just won some money with this. And then they kind of let me be. They kind of like backed off and if you're gonna with it, yeah, then it's fine. It's not a waste of time anymore, right? But it's the same thing where this is the next generation. And BK, you mentioned you're a parent now, so I'm pretty sure that you're not. I think that you're going to approach it differently, saying, whatever you do, I'll support it, right? And even if you lose, but there is a way to still compete. There's a way to still be, you know, number one, or at least aim for it if you like to.
One thing I want to say, since I'm on the other side as well now, is being a parent is not easy. That, you know, they make mistakes, and then when you have kids, you realize, and you look back on things, right, you know, and realize, well, yeah, maybe they were not perfect, but it's not easy. It's a hard job. Yeah, I think to me, I always take it back to the idea of, you know, like, why are we doing this? Why are you doing something? To me, if it makes you happy, is a completely valid reason. Like, you don't need to be good, you don't need to be bad, whatever. You put as much as you want into it, but does it make you happy? You know, it's important to have something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you don't have that, then it affects your whole life. Like, you know, there's a balance that you need to have. Like, sometimes work is shit, and, you know, you have a bad week, whatever. That, you know, I remember you talked about this at one point. One thing I noticed for me, and this is, sorry for sort of jumping into a different topic, but, you know, I noticed, I haven't been playing Third Strike much recently, but whenever I feel tired, whenever I kind of feel like shit, you know, like a bit, I don't know, a bit sick or tired or whatever, or maybe not in the best of minds, a bit depressed, or that's when I launch Third Strike. Right. Somehow. And it's a pattern. It's really weird. Like, every few weeks I'll play a game of Third Strike, and I always feel bad. And I think I'm looking for it to make me happy. You know, it's like I'm not playing these other games. I play the other games when I feel completely fine. But when I'm not okay, I go back to Third Strike.
Do you feel better afterwards?
It's a good question. It depends on the conversation that I have with the other person. If we play and, you know, I feel like it's, you know, we're having fun, then I feel better.
Right.
But if we play and then what we said earlier happens, like they get upset, they rage quit or whatever, then I'm like, it's like my whole world crumbles. You know, I'm doing this because it's an escape from reality. To put the right words onto it, it's an escape from reality. But then that can be destroyed. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. I think, you know, sometimes you need certain things, but I notice for me it's very strange. When I feel good, I don't play Third Strike.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's weird,
I
right?
find that interesting because I'm just thinking now, because I stopped playing, or in a sense I stopped competing and going to tournaments for years since I got married. Probably because I was in Abby's place. You know, when you get married, everything seems to be good. You have a partner. Because I remember during my anniversaries, always HSF going on, and I stopped caring. I don't need to go, right? And then last year, a lot of shit happened, like in personal life. A lot of shit happened. People passed away, unexpected, and all. Like, you know, it was like, okay, now it's getting too much. And then I went to Third Strike.
Yeah. Same thing.
I went to Third Strike. Shit. Now you're saying it. I just went to Third Strike, and instead of playing my usual Third Strike, I decided to play a new character just for fun, right? Because I know the game already. It's easy to pick up, and I just start playing. And all of a sudden, I was having so much fun doing it, but it was kind of always, I was like got really deep into it, and I have never been this deep into Third Strike as I've been in the last 20 years since I've been playing, which is the weirdest thing for me. Like, I'm learning things that I never cared about learning because it was just but because it's fun. But
Fun.
it's fun, right? But now that you mention, if those that shitty things didn't happen, maybe right now we would not be having this conversation. I would have never gotten really back in touch with all these people. It is.
I think so.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. Yeah, did you have that?
So, I hear saying but it's for me, not really. It's more like I haven't been able to pick up any other game really, ever since, like, because I've put so much effort in this game,
Right.
and it drained me. Every time a new game came out, I played maybe 10, 20 hours of training, and that was it, because first it wasn't fun, and I wasn't having fun, and I wasn't seeing myself putting as much effort in a new game or somewhere else if I wasn't having fun, right?
Right.
So I think you were saying, like, fun is important, and to me, yeah, like,
I mean,
playing because I see, right? And
so your audio is going. Your audio's, we're losing you again. Yes, just your audio. But I think from what I mean, for me, it's not like that right now, because now I play again or I compete again. I do that right now because my life is shitty right now. My life is better again, but it triggered a reaction that you go back to that place which has nostalgia. And I think when I also went back to TSB, it was kind of like I mean, I try to justify to the people around me why I'm traveling for this or why I'm spending time with this. And if I give one analogy, is it like, oh, it's my hobby. It's like, oh, I like some people, they play golf because usually these business people, they're so stressed, they go play golf and they relaxes because they're away from everything else, and I think this is my golf. Like, this is what I do. I'm good at it, or I'm decent at it, and then I go and I play, and that's my thing. And then sometimes I just go and meet the same people, like-minded. You do the thing, and you have your fix,
Yeah.
But it's not just playing, because I went to Paris. I was in Paris unexpectedly just 2 to 3 weeks ago, and the first thing, well, my wife said, I don't know if she's listening to this podcast. She goes, "Where do we go for the next 3 days?" We have to go local. I said, "Yeah, we can go to Paris. I mean, Paris is not bad. We just been 6 months ago. We were in Paris 6 months ago for a week." I said, "Yeah, but still, I mean, we can do something else this time." But in my head, I was thinking, I want to go back there again. That was one of the motivations. But I think it has turned into something positive now. That that the way I'm now motivated is pure out of positivity. It's not out of these people, that this jungle that I need to survive in, and I want that recognition, because that generation moved on. And I think that's also, and that's a funny thing, I told someone, this is also one of the reasons I don't connect anymore with the new generation, like the Street Fighter 6 community and whatever, those people. And if I look at Evo right now, I'm thinking to myself, the first thing that pops up in my head is, I don't belong here. This is not my culture. This is not where I grew up with, or this is not my happy place. It's very weird to say, but not that it's a bad thing. It's just I don't have that connection with it. Do you have that, BK? Because you play Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, I played Street Fighter 6. I played quite a bit, actually. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. so I haven't been to offline events. I joined a few online events and they're fun, but it's not the same. But it's still a way to measure your progress, I guess. And I did okay, but I do feel a bit disconnected from the events that I see. But it's also because it's a lot more like with the esport thing. It's a lot more about celebrities and sponsors and whatever. And it's not one thing I liked about our events was the subculture aspect. Like this is something special. This is our own thing, and it kind of sounds like gatekeeping, but I don't think that's what it is. It's more like this feels special, and it's just for the few of us. Well, it sounds like it's speaking anyway, but now it's less. It's more about the game itself, also. So it's about certain celebrities who can travel, who are famous,
Right.
like stream and whatever. So it's less accessible to regular people like me. Like if I want to play against the top French players today and they're really good, I have no way to do this. Like it's not like I can show up to an event and ask them for casuals or whatever. I can't do this. So when I play online, sometimes I get to play a few of them, for like a few games and so on. And it's pretty cool, but it is not the same. The human connection is not there. It's about the game. For some people, it's their job. For me, it's not. It's a hobby. So there's a clear distinction between what they do and what I do. Like I will never be a pro player at Street Fighter 6. I will never even be a strong player. I all I can do is be okay. It's also really hard, to be fair. But it's the scene has changed a lot. I probably wouldn't enjoy myself at events. But a lot of it is also, I think, generational, like you said. Yeah. It's harder to bond with people who don't have the same types of references or history or whatever. So yeah, it's really only the Third Strike scene that's like this to me.
Yesterday, Karim. Sorry, Yas, you want to say something? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that for reference for the people watching or listen to that afterwards. We're old. I mean, you two are over 40 and almost there. So yes, there is a generational gap now. I mean, we started, we were kids, and now kids are starting. So yeah, we didn't grow up in the same eras, and it's not gatekeeping. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it's changed a lot. Like ST, Third Strike, and I think there is definitely a before and an after Street Fighter 4, right?
Yeah.
And these people nowadays, they all know each other, and you see them, on streams, etc., on during events. But they kind of started during 4 or maybe 5, and now they all know each other. And this switch of esport, it didn't happen before. Had it happened during our eras of KOF back in the days, or Street Fighter 3, maybe, I don't know, it would be different today. But because we didn't have that before, and now there is this new era of esports, internet, like online, etc. Back then, let's also put it in context. We only had offline. We couldn't play online. I mean, GGO was there, but it was shit. I mean, it was not as good as it is today. So we only had offline. We would go to our friends to play.
It was the only way.
It was the only way. Arcades, etc. So we had to. Today, you could spend your entire life not meeting someone else, and so when you go to an offline event, you don't know anyone, or maybe you know them, but from the internet, and it's not the same. It's not the same as I don't know, seeing each other every year for 10 different events throughout France or throughout Europe, or seeing each other each week or every week, many times a week, etc. So
yeah, that's a shame, because two things that all of a sudden I feel people are missing out on compared to, and I don't want to fall in the trap when I'm that old guy saying everything was better back then, but I think people are missing out on two things at least. I feel Kareem is an old ST player. I think he's just he said something like, we talking yesterday, and he said to me, you know how these new events go, like Street Fighter 6 or 5 tournaments, um, they're all LCD screens, monitor screens. They don't have speakers. I said, what do you mean? He goes, everyone has a headphone. I said, wait, what? So if you're at that event, all you would hear is button pressing, if they would have buttons, and some chit chat, and that's it. And then I pictured it, and it felt so surreal to me. Like, that's not, because at TSP when you're standing there or in arcade, and then you had these rows of cabs. But then what happened? Something so nice happened. Or at least I found that so nice when that happened. When they were clearing up the cabinets, they had like 8 cabinets, and then all of a sudden the organization, they start taking the first cabinet, and the guys who were playing had to get up, and then all of a sudden, like organically, or maybe it's a French thing, you let me know, there was that side of the cab and this side of the cab, and it didn't matter who was playing, but we're gonna root for this side right now. And we're not just gonna root like golf clap. We're gonna bang on the arcade cabs. There was this one guy, and he's an old guy, where he had brown glasses. I forgot his name. Yes, maybe you know who it is. He was the most vocal guy. He had brown glasses. He had a little bit crazy hair. I forgot his name. Old school. He was definitely old school. And he was the one. He was, he leaned over, and he was banging on the cab from, come on guys, let's, and everyone got into and it was positive. It wasn't like where you guys are shit. It was like, we're just gonna win right now, and this guy is not gonna lose. And you just got sucked in, and it was like even every hit was getting an A, and I could tell people, Zuzu, thank you, Zuzu.
Thanks to Penguin chat.
Yes, thank you, Zuzu. And it was kind of even players that were not the highest level or never get to experience playing in a final on stage, they were the center point right now, and everyone was cheering them on as if it was some kind of SBO final. And every hit, and even if it was a basic combo, we didn't care. Even a throw was like, hey, and it was kind of like, cheering it on. And it was so hyped that we were doing it. And even I think the Japanese went like, what's going on? What's the reason for this? We're not planning anything. This just happened, right? And then I thought to myself, this is one thing that I feel the new generation is going to miss out, simply because there's no sound, there's not that atmosphere, no one shouts too loud, keep it down, or you're disturbing the other person, or even that person won't even hear you because he has got his headphones on. He's just focused in the game, which one side I do understand. That's one thing they'll be missing on. I find it as a big thing. Some people see it as a little thing. The second thing people will be missing out because of the online play, and you never really get to know the amount of people that I've met and the friends that I have made throughout 20 years of playing. I can pinpoint any country right now and saying, I know people there. I know people that Billykane, I met you for the first time, I think it was 2005. The first time, maybe you don't remember because you've been to many more tournaments, but I remember, oh yeah, that's Billykane right there, and he has that Dreamcast stick, and look at these buttons, what the hell? But it was kind of like, oh, now we met, and the next time, hey, you're that guy, and it was like connecting, and then I know all the French players, I know the UK players, and all this stuff. And years on, now TSP, I come back again because I keep referring to it because it was my first event after so many years. I see Otana again, people like that, and it was crazy seeing each other. That is something special, and I still have friends from that time, even from Holland, and we don't play Third Strike anymore, but we're still in contact, we're still friends in a sense. And
can I ask you a question? Was that in Brussels?
That was in Brussels, yes.
Yeah, so I do remember it, okay. which is interesting, right? Because to me, that is something important.
Right.
Like the relationships with other people, other players, and when you meet them and what they're like, and and I see this as completely disconnected from the game.
Yeah.
And how they play, how good they are, what characters, whatever. But that I agree with you that that is something that is probably gone for the most part with the online. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Yaz said, all of a sudden these people will come to an event they don't know,
You look
Yeah.
at these events, it's because there's another aspect now. If you're going to be competing today in these new games, in modern games, there's a pressure because if you're a competitor, either you have sponsors or you want sponsors,
Yeah.
or there's money on the line.
Right.
So there is a pressure of results, and you can't be enjoying yourself at an event except if you're exceptionally better than everyone else and you know you're going to win. Then you can go. And there are some games where I don't even know if Leffen is as chill when he competes today on Strive, for instance. I don't know, but when you see these guys, they're all closed. I'm the same, right? And there is no money, but they're closed. They're there when they're not playing. You don't see them, or they're on their phones, or I don't know what they're doing. But you have lots of pictures of that, and I see them during mix-up and other big events where you go. There's nothing happening in between
The social aspect.
games.
Yeah.
Playing, because there's this result. I have to perform, and
It's a shame
that-
because
that-
MXP also mentioned it. Yeah, it's just I think he made a reference because he said I remember when I was in Paris, and he didn't say anything about I remember that super that got parried. You know the reference he made? He meant I remember when we went to McDonald's and we had that burger together. We were chilling out. That was his
Right.
memory.
But that's what I remember as well from those tournaments is, fun moments outside of the game, conversations, getting to know people, and understanding that, well, maybe this guy is not what I thought he was. That's
Yeah,
those things.
those
No,
things
but
as well.
it's right.
not an
Visiting
asshole.
places. Yeah, maybe he's not an asshole.
Yeah.
But visiting places, like you've said,
Yeah.
it's crazy to think that I've gotten to know people throughout the game that can barely speak English, but I do feel like I know them. Like some players in Japan,
Yeah.
some players in other Asian countries like Korea and so on. It's not like we had deep conversations, but for instance, for a reference, I had something pretty funny happen to me recently. That an old timer, an old Third Strike player from Japan, an old Third Strike player from Japan, who used to play at Togeki or SBO. He's a young player from Kansai, I think. His name's Goemon,
Yeah.
like the cartoon character.
Yeah.
And he's been playing Third Strike. He's been playing SFC. Sorry,
Okay.
Street Fighter 6. And he saw I was tweeting about Street Fighter 6. And we sort of he reached out. We had a conversation about it. And then he added me on the game, like on Street Fighter 6. And now he wants us to play together online. I don't know how that will go because of the netcode. But I reconnected with this guy that I haven't spoken with for 15 years, over 15 years.
Right.
But it's all thanks to the game. Otherwise, if I wasn't playing SF6, if he wasn't playing SF6, then we would never have reconnected. I had a similar thing when I visited Japan. Well, it was a while ago, but I got friends with one of the guys there. Do you remember Izu, the
Yes.
crazy Makoto player? Yeah,
SBO1.
he's a really cool guy. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. And I remember when I visited there, he offered help. Like he actually drove us around to make us visit his hometown, and he took us to different restaurants and places. Yeah, which is really great. So he does speak a bit of English, which helps.
Right.
But without Third Strike, there is no way I would have gotten to know those people. And even in France, like people with completely crazy different backgrounds that I would never have had a conversation with because I would never have gotten that opportunity. It's just crazy to think about. Like even Mimosa, like we have nothing in common.
Right.
It's interesting. But through the game,
Yeah.
we've gotten closer and we're good friends now. And there's something very interesting about that, and very special about those games and the community.
Yeah, that social aspect is I think it's because it's not always visible. right? It's
Yeah.
not always there. The match videos is there, but the camaraderie that is around it is never always visible. The dinners that you have afterwards, or the drinking, or whatever you do afterwards or before, and the road trips that you make, going to the things, the events and stuff like that. Those are one of my best memories as well that I have, with the Dutch community as well. Um, and I think that's something that unfortunately I don't see that camaraderie back right now in the Dutch FGC. When I take a peek, what's going on over there. They are playing. I'm not saying there are no players. They are playing, but they don't. They may have a little group, but it's not the way that I feel like. Oh, I can just go into these events and then see that camaraderie. I don't think that's there, or at least that's what I've been told. It's they're all headphones on and they play and they have fun. They're having the time of their lives because they're happy doing this. But I'm thinking, oh man, you guys are missing out on something. Shit. I mean, I remember a good example where a person I can never communicate with was Ultra Yux.
Oh.
He was there. Now he was there at Brussels as well. That's the first time we played him, and I remember that at some point there were times where we played online and stuff like that, and then it was in my last event. It was in Cannes, World Game Cup, and we both reached like winners final. We had to play, and then I had to play Tokido, and he was sitting next to me, but then I realized he doesn't speak any English at all. So he was just telling me with things, like do this or don't do this, and I'm like, bro, I have no idea. You're my friend, but I have no idea what you're telling me. But even then, there is even the language gaps. You'll still try to, and if you would play games, you would kind of connect and oh, you did this, oh, that's super nice. I think you're talking about that. You're talking through the game as well, and you still connect with these people. So yeah, I find that kind of is the new world as it is, and it's just the way it is. I think it is what it is. People be missing out on that.
I think what we need to do is keep what we have alive. The events, the camaraderie, like you said, the community for Third Strike.
Yeah.
We need to keep that alive, and we get new people coming in, and it's just something that I think is going to stay. I don't think there's any reason for it to go away.
No. Yes, I think you want to say something, but your audio was kind of cut off.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was thinking about the fact that I don't think I've seen anything like that. In the new generation games, they don't have team tournaments, right?
Oh, right. Okay.
They don't have team tournaments, so that's even another occasion to bond with other people. Sharing this experience.
Yeah.
Of team tournament. You're teaming with your friends, and even if they're not.
Ah. Please
Yeah.
come back.
He's gone.
No.
When onto the team tournaments, it's even worse than that, actually. And again, I don't want to be the old guy shouting at the sky either. They do have team tournaments, but they're all sponsored players. So basically, if you're not sponsored, then you can't.
Yeah. These ones, I don't even consider them because
it's even worse.
It's a TV show, right?
Yeah.
Superficial. It's superficial. It's different. And just to give you another example, it just happened literally days ago, where I was browsing through Twitter, and all of a sudden I saw Shao, this Japanese Ibuki player, old school. And the reason I know him is because the one time I went to Japan, I happened to participate in Corporation Cup, and he was in our team. He was carrying us. His Ibuki was carrying us.
He's really good.
Yeah. Oh, he beat Mester and he beat Koshin's Chun. I remember that because we placed first in our group, and we managed to get on stage. And the experience was, for me, I will never forget it. But we never spoke after that. He doesn't speak English as far as I know, and I just saw him, and you can check, I think, on my Twitter, and then I just said, "Hey man, I hope you're doing fine. We haven't spoken in 20 or 15 years right now." And he goes, "Oh, Corporation Cup."
Yeah.
I remember because I posted the team name and everything. It's, "Oh, how are you doing?" And instantly we had one team event. Yes, the same thing. That team event that one day we spent together because we were cheering each other on, and It will always stay. But it's different than what you just said with the superficial. I would say we've got the 5 best players from Eastern Europe and the 5 best players from Western Europe, and now they're together. But actually, they hate each other's guts because they're that competitive, of course. But they just want to
Yeah.
win. It's different, I guess.
Different. We grew up with those team tournaments, right? I mean, maybe not in KOF, but in Third Strike, it's normal, to have team tournaments, and sometimes some players, and even in ST, but sometimes people are more focused on the team tournament than the solo.
Yes.
I know it's not my, I know it's not me. I'm a solo. I'm a
It's me.
solo.
It's me. It's me.
Okay. He's a team guy. I would say I'm both because with TSP I was so happy that I got the 2 other Dutch players, Nosferatu and Nindo. He's an old friend of mine. To come over, and Nindo, he hasn't touched Third Strike in a long time, or at least he doesn't practice it. And when he came, and I said, how much have you practiced? He goes, I have not done anything. and I was like, cool, that's okay. I don't care. I don't care. It's just us 3 right now, doing just repping our country in that sense. Even though it's probably the only active players, maybe there are some players, but they're not that active. And I was just happy that we were just doing that. Was for me one of the cool things to do. Just that kind of supporting or encouraging, going through tactics. Who's gonna play next? That guy, because my character will beat that character. Those are the fun parts of that thing, and it can be any game. I think ST is doing a great job at this as well. But I haven't followed the ST, but I think what's happening to ST is the same thing what's been happening to Third Strike, right? It's just this dedicated community that is building around it, and the players are bonding with each other simply because of the love of the game. But we come from a rough place. Let's put it this way: we come from a place where we got motivated to play for the wrong reasons, but now we're staying it for the right reasons, I guess. Yeah. So, shit.
Maybe it.
Yeah, I can see Karim
Yeah,
saying it. Yeah. And yeah, and Karim said a shout out to the French community, I think, and speaking from me as a non-French, I think for you guys seems to be a bit normal in a sense, or I think you grew up with it. I think us as a foreigners, we always saw the French, at least in the last couple of years. You guys are also keeping it alive. I know there are some events taking place in the UK. I know some people are trying to do something maybe in Sweden, but it's this level of organization and the level of professionalism. Because now I'm in a professional in my with my work. All I was thinking when that beamer broke down at TSB, I was thinking, oh, how are they gonna fix this? 20 years ago, I wouldn't care. I was just thinking about my games or when can I play again, and I was just thinking, how are they gonna fix this? Because their stream is gonna be messed up and everything. And then they rolled in with this big screen and they were doing this, and in 10 minutes everything was set up, and I was so impressed with the way they ran it. And I think the French have a certain culture that's very strong in games. You have a very strong culture, and you not have one organization, you have multiple organizations running these events. Third Strike, ST, you have in Rennes, you have in Lyon, you have in Vierzon, I think. That's also keeping the game alive, and I think that's people should really be appreciated for that. I think it's not being said, at least in my opinion.
I agree about how important the organizers are, and they're keeping the whole thing alive. And I think we are very spoiled to be in France and have those events. And I hope people realize how good they are.
Yeah.
And that might be a reason, an answer to the question, and that's been at least very important to me for years now. Why do we compete? It's also to support these people, right?
Yeah.
Even if I lose or anything, I'll still, even if I don't feel okay or anything, I'll still try to go because without us, there is no them.
Yeah.
But without them, there is no us as well.
Us either. Yeah.
We do compete, support as well. Even ST right now, I'm not a competitive player. I pull off something, but I'm not there. But I still go and support the tournaments if I can, financially, etc. And that's maybe the best reason, because this is how we make this community, we keep this community alive.
And I see
in
the
these
same thing.
times.
I see the same thing happening in the U.S. Right? MXP is doing things with Jazzy, and he is keeping that alive as well. I think there's also people in the Midwest, but he's the one, the Jazzy and all the people that supporting him. It has to be done, or else and then you see this new generation, because I see this new generation of Third Strike players. Like the one you met, the Bulgarians that you mentioned, and there's some people from Italy or from Spain, Cartola, the one that you mentioned. These are now the people that hopefully they'll play, as long as we've been playing at some point as well. And so it's not just old people playing games, and it's just old people. It's there is some new people coming in as well, and now they're making friends, and now they're making things. So I think this is one of the reasons, I guess, I was motivated to go. I was motivated to go because I'm going to meet some old friends again. I think that was kind of like the driving factor as well. I think if it was just taking place in another country where I've never been with people that I don't know, it would have been I'm just going there to compete. That's all.
Same. And would you have done that?
No,
Probably not.
no.
Right? Yeah.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
That's also one reason that you could say we're probably still competing up until this day or entering tournament. Also to support, but to give back in a way to the community, that we got so much from the community that now that we're the elders, we get to give back to this new generation and teach them in a way, or share with them what we've learned. And this at least is a very important part for us to play as the elders. And I'm really happy to see that we're still there, that lots of OGs are still playing, very active. It's still, even if they're not active, but you mentioned Otana, he's not really active on Fightcade. Billykane is not really active on Fightcade, etc. But come an event, you'll see these two pop up.
He was the most active one. He was the craziest one over there. Oh. He was running around the whole thing. Did you see that?
That's really cool. That's important, because without your OGs, your community it's not the same.
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah, he was playing a match, and then between the rounds or between a game, and then he just started running around the whole audience just to give high fives to people and come back just to start again. This guy was having the time of his life. I know this evening he said he's putting his kids in bath. Being a father and everything, that's why he doesn't compete. But it is definitely sure why he does show up to these events, even though he always mentioned, because he does the same thing. I think this is going to be my last event, and I said, yeah, whatever, bro. Whatever, bro.
Never. He will never retire. No, I know how it is.
You just take a break.
But it is right. You take a break for a couple of years, maybe, and then you need it. You need your happy place, and he loves it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I guess I think we should wrap it up here. I think this is I really enjoyed this. This is really cool doing this. Thank you, BK, for joining us, and thank you, Yaz, for also doing this. I think we might do another one. Let's see what they think about. I think it's pretty cool. Hope you guys also had a good time.
Thank you.
Don't hesitate if you have any feedback, any questions, any themes you would like us to tackle, talk about, any people you'd like us to invite.
Yes.
Just share away. We're on Discord, we're on Twitter, where to find us.
Yes.
We're also doing that for you guys, because you mentioned it, but it was the starting point, right? We were having these conversations, and we were like, we need to share that.
Yeah.
It can't stay.
Exactly. And that's why
at least there's going to be a trace afterward.
Exactly.
For the next generation.
And thank you both for it, because you guys opened up really some personal stuff. That's I think that's that gives a bit of weight and I think meaning to what you're saying, and that why it happened. And I think that's pretty cool that you guys opened up here on stream as well. So I appreciate that. All right. Cool. Then, any last words from you guys?
Thank you to both of you for having me. I had a really good time, and I got to know you two better, which I'm quite thankful for.
Same here. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure to have you, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Family.
Yes, definitely. All right, guys.
We are family. We should have the song. Play the song.
I'm not gonna play
And we
that
can wrap it up.
that cheesy '70s song.
It's not cheesy, bro. It's not cheesy. No. I can't.
It's a good song. It's a good song. But I don't have it on ready right now. I'm sorry. But
We are fam.
we definitely are. Definitely. Third Strike. And see each other, guys, next time. So thanks, guys. Have a nice evening. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy. And we're out.
Peace.